Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Mystic Games. Today we're going to be talking Northgard Winds of Fate. It's out now. We have a new patch here, so that's pretty awesome. We're going to go over the patch notes really, but I just want to show you guys the post. We're also going to go over one of the posts that came out like 2 days ago. They released a lot of little things that I covered that are going to be covered here again. Essentially just covering the new combat that was reworked. The power triangle should be better now. I have not played yet today because I had work. So this is my first coverage of it. I'm going to go over the patch notes, read them a little bit more in depth so you guys can see as well. And then I'll probably jump in and play a little bit. I might do a video later on my thoughts on the patch as well. So we have a combat rework, a PvP rework, which I don't really play, but I am happy for the PvP players because I know it's been a big request. And new visuals, which we will look at the visuals real quick, and then we're going to jump into the patch notes. We also have a couple new conquests added for, essentially it looks like the Clan of the Hound, No Cost, No Mercy, Berserker's Wrath, and Moonlight Betrayal. So that's pretty interesting. They didn't really discuss that one beforehand. Anyways, they're saying thank you for playing the 7-year journey that we are on. There's still a lot of things to be addressed, and we're excited for the Kingdom's release, Northgard team. So let's jump in and look over at the new visuals. Let's look at the visuals first. A revamped army. So these are your visuals here. You can see them down below. They look a lot cleaner, like obviously 7 years ago graphics weren't as good as they are now. The graphics update looks very good for the military. I'm hoping that they added new graphics for everything else as well, because otherwise they might be a little off, because these graphics do to me look a lot cleaner. But that's pretty cool. So let's click here. You have the old one on the left and the new ones on the right. So you have the new warrior, a little bit, they look like they all grew a little bit. They're all a little bigger, but they're also a lot cleaner, a lot less box-like. So, and then we have the Kingdom's clans characters as well. Look pretty good to me. So I think the update is well welcomed at this point in gameplay. Alrighty, so let's actually read the patch notes here. Patch notes. Greeting Vikings. After the open beta period, we are now ready to provide all the modifications we tested to all players. Thanks for all players that participated in the beta, reported issues, shared their feedback, participated in discussion, and helped us with the update. The main focus was around the military units, the fight strategy to make all units more viable, only focusing on warriors. In this idea, this patch brings new unit abilities, forges, military pass, but also some ranked changes. We also have some new conquest mode for the clan, visual improvements, some KOL, and a bunch of bug fixes. So quality of life is always nice. So let's get into exactly what's going on. So military changes. The Trinity has been changed. The first big change to the update is really assuming the Trinity of base military units. Now in 1v1, a shield kills an axe that kills a warrior, then kills a shield. We wanted this change to push you to play more with further units instead of only focusing on one. We don't forget clans that only play one kind of unit and made some changes to avoid them being left behind. Same for Kingdom clans. They're not affected directly by this Trinity change, but we bring them a little change that will help them stay on the course. So for the warrior, they lost a little bit of armor, which makes sense. They're supposed to be more of a berserker tank type unit, which is good. They need to be able to get taken out but quicker. New ability is Piercing Strike. Attacks partially ignore defense if the target has higher defense, which makes sense. They're made to get rid of the shield bearer. Doesn't give charge, but break also the projectile resistance. Doesn't give charge, but break also the projectile resistance. I hope... I don't... That doesn't make sense to me while I read it. I don't know if there's supposed to be a comma. I'm really hoping they didn't give them some sort of projectile resistance, because that kind of negates axe throwers, which is supposed to be their natural enemy. I mean, you can do it a little bit, but you have to be very careful with making them resist any projectiles. Otherwise, they lose their weakness, essentially. Anyway, Shield Bearer, they have 7 defense, and they gain the charge ability, which makes way more sense for them to have that, simply because they are to counter axe throwers, which now means not only do they take reduced damage, but they clear the gap quicker. Axe throwers have a little bit more of attack power. Maybe this is to help negate projectile resistance, but they should have gave them something that helps counter shield bearers more. Giving them like a cleave would have been really interesting, that does like, 20% damage or something like that. I can see how that could also become problematic though, but something like that to me would have made a little bit more sense, because it would have been more focused on damage, which is their role, but in a small area. Anyways, I'll have to play to see what that is exactly saying. For military building upgrades, for Viking clans can now share 50% of stats to all other military units except for Warchiefs, Valkyries, and Ghosts. That seems pretty solid. The upgrades are always nice. Military unit costs now scale back as before. Each unit increases the price of all unit by 6 crowns instead of 3 for the other type. Okay. And then Kingdom clans gain a new military upgrade. Armor Shred unit with it has a chance to break the defense and projectile resistance of its target for 2 seconds. Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. So the warrior will break the projectile resistance of the shield bearer when it hits them, which makes the axe thrower better against the shield bearer, but you would need warriors to hit with axe throwers to get the combination, which is cool. I mean, that makes sense. Now that I'm reading this, I understand what that's probably doing up at the warrior change. Again, though, you doing anything to make the other military unit better, even if it requires another unit, is an interesting choice. Although it does co-op, using 2 different unit types. Anyways, military paths, Foundation of War. Next military camp upgrade is free, and max warband generate military experience. Shared rations, basic military units. Food consumption is reduced by 5% for each type of basic unit in the zone. So having one of each type gives you a 15% reduction. So that's good. I could see that being buffed later. I don't know if that's good enough. I don't think it's overpowered. I can't see it being overpowered, but I could be totally wrong. It's good either. I mean, it's a nice little buff either way. I could see that getting buffed slightly. Veterans, increase the bonus from military building upgrades to other units by 50%. Solid. Upgrading and then getting more buffs is always good. Especially allows a diverse army. When on a battleground zone, units have a boost of power and attack speed of 25 instead of 30. Makes sense. I feel like that's good. I think last video when I talked about the military paths, or 2 videos ago anyways, I should say, this was one of my concerns, and I think 25 is probably better than 30. I think I actually mentioned that when I was doing the video too. If I remember correctly, that was a minute ago now. For leadership, bodyguard, war chief produces 1 military experience, and I'm assuming gets a bodyguard as well. Armed wing of the clan, each military forge grants 5% more health to your war chief. Okay, so that's up to a maximum of 15%. Generally, I should say, because there would be clans that would get a higher amount. That's a pretty cool buff, actually. I like that. It would actually, you know what would be really cool, and I'm just going to go on a small tangent here, and this is just off the top of my head. It would have really been interesting for them to make one of the trees really focus on the war chief more, and give him like buffs and stuff. Again, I do hope we get kind of like some magical abilities for our war chiefs at some point. I think that would be a really cool addition to the game. Obviously, that's hard to balance, so I can understand them not doing it, but I think that should be like a buff patch focus at some point. Dragon Military Path. With the rework of Legion and other military changes, all three paths didn't fit well for the clan, so here is a new path with a little particularity where from level 2 to 4 you have to choose between two bonuses. So they have Blood Chains, which is pretty much guaranteed that you have to pick that one because it's for both trees. Thralls and captured units generate military experience. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's going to get insane later on, but that, at that point, everyone's insane, right? Level 2, you have Draconic Haste. Draconic units with an upgraded weapon gain 15% movement speed. And then Draconic Smithing. Whirlwind Forge gain 50% more range, and Battlecry gain 100% more range. Wow. Both those are awesome choices. I feel like Draconic Smithing is going to be the general choice, but I could see it. I could actually see gameplay reasons to pick Draconic Haste for like raiding, because you can actually separate dragon military units pretty good. So as long as you can hit multiple zones, Draconic Haste would be really solid in like multiplayer. I could see that being, I don't know if abusable, but pretty close. Like it could be very strong. Whirlwind Forge, I think overall will probably win, especially on one-on-one, when you can't hit as many zones at once, or you don't have the ability to. I can see the Whirlwind Forge being really good, because getting the increase on Whirlwind is very strong, and then also just getting Battlecry is just like an additional bonus. I think it would be more used for the Whirlwind getting a larger radius. Okay, so at level 3 we get Gold Forge Pack. Draconic units cost 20% less crowns. And then Inferno Pact. Draconic Nightmare doesn't cost Dragon Essence. Okay. I'm trying to think what would be used in what situation. A little bit of commentary for you guys. I don't think in this one there's much. One's going to be more PvP, one's going to be more... Oh, I just copied that. One's going to be more PvP. I think both these are usable, and it depends on the situation. Arguably, I think the Dragon Essence cost most of the time is going to be more helpful than the Crown's cost. I think that's my take on this, but I can see both being useful. It depends on your situation at the time when this pops up. I think Draconic Essence overall will become... Oh, that's not even true. I could see the crowns being still viable even in the same situation. So I think they're both good. I would probably go Dragon Essence, but I could actually see the crowns cost being really good towards the end game as well, when you need to just replace units quickly if they get taken out. Guardian's Pack. Draconic Nightmares absorbs 30% of the damage dealt to the Dragonkin. Okay. And then Whirlwind deals 80% damage. Again, Draconic Nightmare absorbs 30% damage versus Whirlwind 80% damage. I think Whirlwind wins. I don't think this one's even a question. The issue with the Dragonkin in the Draconic Nightmare is the shield... would only be for, it seems like, the Dragonkin using that ability, which is really good for that. But generally, I feel like I use more of the basic version because of Whirlwind. Just the option to have Whirlwind seems really strong when you can get quite a few units together. So I would normally probably pick Whirlwind here, because especially if you get the increased range with it, that's just nuts. It gives you wiping out armies with a couple of them and one Dragonkin peppered in there just for the Draconic Nightmare boost. And then finally we have Draconic Rage, which is for your leader. Surtur enrages all other Draconic units in the zone, giving them 30% attack for 5 seconds. Cost 5 Dragon Essence. Solid boost, solid amount of time. I think the cost is a little too high, but at that point in the game you should have the ability to pump out some Dragon Essence real quick. So you're going to be sacrificing resources. I feel like eventually that might need a reduction in cost to make it more valuable. But it's kind of a Hail Mary card, like it's always in your arsenal at that point. And at the end of the game, you should be able to pump it out once or twice if needed. But I would say probably reduce the cost to 4, because 5 seconds isn't super long either. It's long in this game. I mean, 5 seconds in this game is a lot longer than most games. But just the way the combat works. But I think that could be reduced to 4 later, and it would make it a lot more valuable. 3 would be too low, I think. But I think 5's slightly too high. I think it's going to end up being a 4 in the long run. Dragon Rework. For Fame, 200 each capture gives Fame depending on the unit captured. Start with Thrall production. When assigned to a building, they do not increase the specialized worker production anymore. Instead, they produce 50% of the specialized worker's production. So they just produce on their own. They don't increase the other workers. The decreased cost is now in percentage for Thrall formula. Okay. That should make it a little bit more easy to play around. And then neutral Thrall. Each neutral Thrall will give a different amount of Essence 1 sacrifice. Kobolds give 2. Dwarves Elves give 3. Dark Elves, I should say. And then Houghton give 4. I don't see that being used often. Like sacrificing units from those. I don't think many people are going to sacrifice a giant unit. I think sacrificing a giant unit would be really crazy to do. Anywho, knowledge. Blood, sweat, and tears. You can't assign one more Thrall on upgraded production buildings. Instead, Thralls increase specialized worker production by 10%. Okay. I think that's a little bit of a downgrade in a sense. Not sure how much the old percentage would be. That's interesting. I would like to know the percentage that it used to be, essentially, compared to what we're getting at the 10%. That one I can't comment because I would need to know the exact numbers, guys. I'm not sure if that's a buff or a debuff. I feel like it's more of a debuff, though, just without knowing the numbers and by knowing what it used to do. Again, I'd have to play to see. The price of Thralls decreases 5% faster. That's great. Once more than one unit is on a tile, the attack bonus is split by half for each unit on the same tile. Once 6 units are on the same tile, the attack bonus is set to 0%. Okay, that makes Draconic Frenzy a lot better. All Draconic units on the same tile as Cert can capture enemy units. That's fine. It's pretty much how it worked anyways. Yeah, I think Draconic Frenzy is a lot better now. Yeah, I like Draconic Frenzy now. I think that makes it way better. I really like that. I like that change. Draconic Frenzy is like, I believe it's 100% damage to one unit on the tile, and once it gains an ally, the buff used to go away. They changed it so it looks like it can be shared between 6 units, but it just keeps getting broken down. 100% keeps getting broken down, and I think that's really nice to have. Because you could technically split into 2 armies and have 12 units, right? Not that you normally with Dragon you don't until very very end game. You're not probably going to have 12 military units, but I could see that being used to quite like an efficient level. Anyways, let's talk about ranked. We have a lot of people we were asking for new stuff here, so welcome the pick system and welcome back to 2v2. I know 2v2 is clamored for. We also add blind clan selection for dual ranked and FFA only, which makes sense because they don't want to lock you out as a new player. 3v3, the first team we will pick 1 clan, then team 2 will pick 2 clans, and team 1 will pick 2 clans, and then team 2 will pick its last clan. And then 2v2, the first team will pick 1 clan, and then 2 teams picks 2 clans, and team 1 picks its last clan. There's a typo here that is the and not he. I already read bad as it is when it comes to patch notes. I think it's because I'm recording, and it's all my nerves, guys. I get so nervous. I'm joking about that, by the way. I'm not super nervous. But I feel like I just read worse when I'm actually reading out loud. Quality of life. So let's see what the quality of life is. That wasn't really discussed beforehand. So Kraken. Rand's Blasting now gives 20% pop growth to Spectral Warriors. Valkyries cost 100 crowns instead of 120. That's nice. I like nice even 2 zeros on my costs. And then Woodcutter's Lodge. Stone upgrade cost is now 5. Which is nice. Woodcutters is, and usually for me, it's my first upgrade for stone. Other than the Town Hall, of course. Lighthouse building is now, cost is now 100 to 50, except for the clan of the Raven. Okay. And then Bifrost, modify the UI and text from portal bonuses to make them more understandable when you can choose one of them. And then we have Hound Conquest. Let's see what this is all about. No cost, no mercy. In this battle, all military unit experiences are increased, and all military units are free. Yes, free. Torfin 2. Okay. All your army will need more food to stand, but every foes, animals, and even other humans kills will provide you some good rations. Meat is meat. Right? Interesting. That's an interesting game mode for Conquest. I'm a big Conquest fan. I like that. That could be a lot of fun. It's kind of like you can make more units quicker, and they are free, so you can just essentially make an army out. But the issue is, as soon as you do that, your food cost is going to skyrocket. So it's going to be harder to maintain a military unit on this map initially. In this game, as you progress, you generally power scale pretty good in this game as long as you're not getting hit. Obviously, when you get attacked, it changes the your progression path, I would say. This game has a lot of that going on. Berserker's Wrath. The 4 spirit animals will guide you in this battle. Every few months, all berserkers will be transformed into a specific one depending on the animal season. All clans can only recruit berserkers. Okay, I like that. I like the idea of you get only berserkers to use, and then the path will actually change for your berserkers. Like your berserker units will change every season. I think that's pretty nifty. I think it also gets you into get comfortable using berserker units. And then Moonlight Betrayal. Some sneaky werewolves are hidden in your population, and they will bite healthy villagers to join their ranks. Okay. Find them before all your villagers are cursed and send them out of your territory, or prepare to fight them before the moon rises. Some sneaky werewolves are hidden in your population. Dude, that's crazy. dude, I want to play that one. Like, I like that one the most. That one has a very unique mechanic, and this is probably gonna be super annoying for the player. But I could be that like this is either gonna be really fun or it's gonna be super annoying. I could see it being going both ways. Even just for funsies, though, I could, the first time playing, even if it's annoying, it'll be something interesting. It's very different to have that kind of mechanic in the game. I would be very interested to see how that was played out too, like how they actually got that to function. If you just get your starting villagers and one of them just has the curse, or if it just randomly appears. But it's such a cool thing to think about. It's like you just randomly are going to transform into wolves. I'm assuming they're going to turn right into wolves because werewolves is not a unit. It would be really cool if they actually did add a werewolf skin, though. Even if it was the same stats as like a wolf or something, I think that would be pretty funny. Alright, anyways, that's the end of the patch notes. I appreciate you guys joining me for this. This is a little bit longer than normal. I really like a lot of these changes. Just some of these that I think will be, these are new. I have a feeling that a couple of these will end up being nerfed and potentially buffed. But we'll see what happens. And anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Enjoy the new Winds of Fate update. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll probably be jumping on shortly. Later, guys.